Well, hello guys. I realized I haven't filmed an intro. So welcome back to No Factory Garage. My name is Craig. What you guys have seen is I'm now tackling my truck bed. I just took out the ribbing. I found a replacement kit, so come on, let's take a look. Alright, so here's a replacement kit, and as you guys just saw, I was cutting out the old ones. But I found this on Amazon for like $270 or something like that. What did the kit come with? Well, it came with 6 bed bolts and bracket. Moving forward, this is the first bracket piece. Would you guys look at that? Maybe you guys saw it, maybe not, but it's right there. I walked everywhere looking for this thing. All right, so this is the original one, and I'm 98% sure that this is the replacement one. The only thing that I see really different are these holes and how they went about doing it. There's basically this weird, it looks like a D, and then this one is just an oval in the middle. So when it comes to realigning these to the holes in the truck bed, that's probably what I'm going to pay much more attention to than trying to line up these marks. They don't look like they're exactly the same. They're pretty close. This one's an interesting one, which is the entire reason I bought this kit, was because this one was so rusted bad. Doesn't have anything in here. Here are the last 2 pieces. Nothing different really. There you go. Just some more pieces right there. Crush washers, and that's probably what I'll just do over there. I'll grab a pipe and cut it out and make a space, and then this very back one. So that's all the pieces. Oh, there's also the little fender flare bolts and the weird washers that go with them right there. Can't probably see that. So that goes with that. Now, I'm going to take you guys outside and we'll look at the truck bed and see what I'm after, see what we're fighting. Alright, now I'm not quite sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but this truck bed does have deformities in it. Let's get around to this wheel well. You might not be able to tell, but it is completely raised up here. And right here is where I've done a ton of panel beating already. And it's not nearly smooth, but it's a lot better. So it almost looks somewhat flat till about here, where I don't know if somebody dropped something or what happened. There was a lot of weight and it deformed the bed right there. So I have to come in here and I have to bang this all out, but it's not going to be tonight because my poor neighbors want to sleep. So the last person who had this truck bed, before he took it off of his truck, decided that he was having a lot of issues with getting it off. So he ended up taking a torch, and I think he was trying to wash out the head there. That's the hole, and that's the hole he made. So there's a lot of holes. I just made that hole right there. I didn't see that one I needed to do. There's holes right here. Let's see if you can't see. Just holes everywhere. But the biggest issue is this part of the bed right here. Here, it's probably about a foot by a foot and a half worth of size that has some really bad looking bed. Now, if you have this issue, they do make replacement pans that you can buy. But I'm going to take my gavel at it and see what I can do. This one right here, obviously you can see that's completely whole Swiss cheese. It almost looks like somebody took a shotgun to it. There's a lot of holes here, which we're going to try and fill, and may patch the bottom side. This is the bottom side. This right here looks horrendous, and it should. There's a little piece of hot and melted lava metal So I'll probably end up cutting a circle and putting a plate over this. Maybe. Or cutting it out and putting a plate in. It looks horrible, absolutely horrible. But I don't know if you can tell right here, I believe that's all been banged, dented down. I don't think it's supposed to be like that. It doesn't look like it's supposed to be like that. It looks like it's supposed to be indented. So the plan is, come in here and whack this thing all straight and flat. I probably need to go out and buy a flat bar that I can slide in here, in between these. It'd be great if it had a bevel so I could just slide them all in there and whack this thing all down and just leave it all, let it be fine. I may end up going and buying that flat bar before I start doing any more bed beating. That way I don't ruin anything more. There's a couple of weird circles here and there. This is a circle, this is a circle, but it is what it is. Alright, well, that looks a lot worse than I thought it was. Looks like all that's, yeah, dying. Oh well, I'll move from there. Alright guys, it's looking a lot better than it was before. Got a big old hump right there, and every in between had a hump. You kind of still see the hump up there. It's coming down, but yeah, other than that, it's looking pretty good. I think I'm gonna hop in here with a soft pad and grinder and start grinding all the spot welds out. And if we get cleaned up in time, I guess we might start roll the welder out and start working on filling in some holes. Right there, 3 to 4 as an inch. So I'm thinking about getting some flat bar, an inch by, I'm not sure if it's gonna be an 8 to 3/16, whatever, however tall this is, and we'll figure this out. The reason I'm all the way up here is because I figure this is probably the least damaged out of every part in the truck. Top piece is an 8. Put this back on like it was. So now we're reading an 8, and I can see 2 hash marks. So that's 1/8. So an inch wide by an 8 deep. And I'm thinking the plan is I'm gonna go buy several bars of that, and I'm gonna cut it to 8 feet so I can come in from the back side, slide the bar in, and then where I've dented this down, or it's not as uniform, I can come in and whack that. So I just got off the phone with my local steel dealer, and they sell 1/8 by inch by 20 feet carbon steel at $8.08. This rib seam line, and then that seam line, 14 of them. Alright, the bed is right side up again. All the braces are 90% welded on. I figured I could weld the rest when it's upright. Now, what I'm going after is rust holes, and there's always been a good ability for losing lack of judgment, and there's a lot of rust here, and eventually we'll get here, but there's some small holes up there that I'm going to start working on. That's a lot of time spent there. Still looks like I missed a little bit here and there, but pretty close. I only have to do the rest of that and then deal with all this, and pretty much that same thing over on this side underneath the bottles. And then the truck bed will be complete. Alright, let's talk about the biggest waste of time potentially. Welding up holes. So this is weld. Here's more of it. Here's even more of it. And then here's the whole bunch. I did a lot of filling in massively big holes over here. And once you add heat to some of these small holes, because it's so thin, it just burns back, and then you're adding more. So there's a lot to go on right here, and of course you'll see there's all these little pins right here. These are the pieces from the welding wire. It's just what happens when you're burning such thin stuff. Now, all of these circles, last night I was out here with a flashlight pointing up from the bottom of the bed, and I was marking where I could see the light through it. Also, I have to finish welding these rails in. I thought these were much closer to being done than they are right now. But everywhere you see circles, and it's all over, that's where I saw light shining through last night. This is probably the biggest hole. More gusset to weld. I don't know where that hole came from, but right now I don't even think I'm worried about filling it. There's some more hole there, another hole there, some more holes right here. Coming along, looks like there's one there, a couple there. This fender here is cracked, so that definitely needs to be welded back together. Yeah. Now, I have plans to Raptor line the bottom of the truck bed. So I'm gonna Raptor all of this. So everything you see is gonna be Raptored, and then the skirts too, to at least about here. You know, of course, there'll be overspray, and the reason being is because this bed isn't blue looking underneath here, and that's what I'm painting the outside. It's gonna be blue again. So I want this truck to look relatively uniform in the color match. So if somebody's underneath of it, they'll see the lining instead of seeing white and realize that the bed was replaced. Not really that big of a deal, I guess. This right here was me. I bought a rattle can and I was trying to test colors. It doesn't look like the truck. It just doesn't look right. But this truck bed and the truck cab, I'm gonna put the bed back on to the truck when I go to paint the side skirts. So everything down here. So what I need to do is fill this in so it's not white. So I'm gonna paint this probably separate, whether it's with the rattle can or with the actual paint color. And it'll probably end somewhere, I don't know, somewhere around here where the spray gun can get in there and cover it. It might be all the way to the end. But that is the plan for this right here. Alright, so it's 2 days afterwards and I found out there's some holidays. Because I don't have any good lighting, I'm going to run around with this and finish out this last bottle from the kit. So this would be a 1 gallon kit on the bottom side of the truck bed. Alright guys, final coat. I like it. Looks good. Really good. Aw, dang. Missed the little spot right there I meant to grab. Oh well. Alright guys, that is a wrap. I like the Raptor bed liner on the bottom. This is my first time using Raptor. Very impressed with my results. I think the truck bed looks good. I'm going to end it here because this video is probably about 40 minutes worth of stuff. So I'm going to have to speed up a whole bunch of stuff because I know you guys aren't really interested in watching 40 minutes of this content. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this and stay tuned. I'll see you guys on the next one.